Hello everybody, my name is EK and you're watching EK Tech. Looking for platformers to play, I went to the Nintendo eShop and there I found a game called Elli, or Eli, or however you might pronounce this game. I have no idea. Is it Elli? Is it Eli? Nobody knows! The game being 20 euros was sort of a point of hesitation for me, as 20 euros for a platform puzzle game is actually quite a bit, but was it worth it? Find out later. Elli, which is a pronunciation that I'm gonna go with during this review, is a puzzle platformer game that was weirdly reminiscent of the old school Legend of Zelda games. The entirety of the game takes place within one in-game day. It is Elli's birthday and the things called the time crystals have been stolen. Now it's up to you to recover them all, because if you don't recover them all before this day ends, then there will be no tomorrow. So you better hurry. As you move throughout the game, you move through quite a variety of environments. These environments range from anywhere between a desert, there is a super dark dungeon-like area where you can barely even see, there is a volcano, so there's actually a very decent amount of variety in the environmental designs. Every environment also has its own puzzle elements that you utilize in specific ways. These range from, for example, there's some color-coded elements where you have to match specific colors with locks so that you can unlock the locks, which then unlock you more colors, which unlock you more locks. It's a big system where you just start unlocking and unlocking and unlocking, and all of a sudden you have access to all the doors, which is a very cool system. There's also a system with bombs, for example, where you plant bombs and these bombs explode at a certain time, so you have to move them to a specific location to make some rocks explode, so you can get the loot from that, and the loot from that is then used again to open up another door. So it's a very nice integrated system. There's obviously a lot of very simple puzzle elements there as well. There's switches and there's pressure plates, and there's plates that you turn off and on by jumping on them. So there's a lot of diversity, ranging from both the very simple puzzle elements that you're used to from other games, as well as some new puzzle elements that I had not seen previously in other games, at least not to this extent. Also, I felt like I just talked super fast there, so if you couldn't understand that, then I'm very sorry. Elli being a platformer, make sure it has Elli also being a platformer, makes certain there's a right amount of running, dodging and evading fires, or otherwise you die. The maps are filled with moving blocks, disappearing blocks, exploding blocks, traps, fire, darts. There's a lot of environmental things that are looking to kill you, and you have to evade these. So there's a very nice combination between both the action element of the game as well as the puzzle element of the game. While in general the gameplay is quite smooth, the Switch does show its lack of responsiveness at times. We've all been there, we've all been at the moment where we say, after we die, "Oh my god man, I pressed that fucking button, I jumped." Right? You've been there. You've been at that moment where you're just cursing at the buttons. Or with a mechanical keyboard or something, that doesn't really happen anymore, because the responsiveness is just the best you can possibly get. On the Switch, however, it does most certainly lack a little bit of responsiveness. It didn't happen to me often enough that I felt like it was the game trying to screw me over, or the Switch trying to screw me over, but there were some occasions where I'm pretty certain I pressed the key and Elli wouldn't jump. But I jumped! Performance-wise, the game seems to run at a fairly stable 30 FPS. There are, however, some areas where the FPS really plummets. I really felt like the FPS was dropping into like the 20s, maybe even like up to like 12 FPS or something. It was actually horrible. I'll probably have some footage running up there showing this exact problem. However, these moments being very far in between means that in general the gameplay experience is very smooth. And yes, even I, as a self-proclaimed PC Master Race snob, who has some issues with 30 FPS at times, because some games just don't run at 30 FPS. But this game is well optimized for 30 FPS, it runs very smooth, and after a while I got used to it, I kind of forgot about it. So if I can forget about my 30 FPS, then most certainly you can too. Graphically the game isn't too spectacular, yes. The art style is pretty nice and there are some fairly saturated colors all over the place, but the resolution seems to suffer quite a bit. The game looks very rugged, and there's also no anti-aliasing here, which makes the edges look very rough. Sometimes, when I should be looking at a circle, I feel like I'm looking at a square. Honestly, the rugged edges are just so bad. I really wish some more games would add some anti-aliasing. I can't imagine anti-aliasing being that heavy. And yes, of course, I'm not talking about MSAA or some higher end anti-aliasing, but please Just add some simple anti-aliasing and make your game look a bit more pretty. Come on guys. Just reduce the shadows a bit. Even reduce the resolution a bit for all I care. But give me some anti-aliasing, come on. This situation, by the way, is both there for the handheld mode and the dock mode. Initially I was like, okay, maybe the handheld mode is a bit rugged. Let me go to the dock mode and let me see what this game can really do. And honestly, I didn't really notice a difference because, you know, you go to a bigger screen generally. I can't imagine you having a TV the size of the Switch. So you go to a bigger screen. So yes, the resolution is probably a bit higher. The anti-aliasing might also be a little bit better, but because it's a bigger screen, it might even look worse. Honestly, I was gaming on my TV and I was like, I might just go back to handheld mode. And actually I did finish the entirety of the game in handheld mode after I finished my session last night. So yeah, graphically the game is nothing to write home about, and it doesn't bother me too much because, I mean, it's a platformer. I don't really care about graphics in the platformer that much, but it's worth mentioning because, yeah, it's not the greatest. Sound-wise, Elli delivers as expected. It is a platformer, there is some decent sound design here, there are some decent sound effects there. It's nothing to write home about. I mean, it's just about enough to keep me immersed, but it's not really enough to keep me impressed. One big gripe I have with this game is something that a lot of games seem to be doing, especially Nintendo games. I'm wondering if it's something that Nintendo has popularized in the past couple of years. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. But it is the voice acting. Because what happens these days is not that you have voice acting or on the other end of the spectrum you have just text. No, you have text and then there's this weird gibberish spoken all over it, like this random sound effects that make no sense whatsoever, and I suppose they're supposed to sound cute or something. I honestly don't get it. So if someone gets it, please explain it to me in the comments down below, because I honestly don't get it. But I just find it to be distracting. Like, I'm reading some dialogue, which is some pretty decent dialogue, by the way. There's some decent humor in there. People are like making all kind of jokes about the villain coming through and, you know, doing stuff to them. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you know, there's a decent amount of interesting dialogue there. But then there's these random sound effects and they just sort of ruin it for me. They just take me out of the experience. They just make me think of Sims or something. All in all, I beat the game in about 7 hours, of which I played about 75% in the handheld mode and about 25% in dock mode. I am pretty certain, like I mentioned earlier, that graphically and gameplay wise the game is pretty much identical on both ends of the spectrum. To try and keep you more interested, the game tries to employ a bit of a shop mechanic. So at certain intervals in the game there is the shop, and the shop offers you cosmetics. That's fine, right? Well, sounds fine to me. Okay, so what happens is there is two different currencies that you have in the game. There is the general currency that you find all over the place, and I feel like you can even farm it. I think you can go back and forth to some place and just, I think it respawns. I'm not quite certain, I didn't really dive deep enough into it, but I think you can farm it pretty well. Which, I mean, it sounded fun initially. And there's also head coins. Now, head coins do exactly as they say. They allow you to buy heads, and these head coins are found in more difficult to reach places, like you have to do additional stuff in a puzzle. Like there's a specific set of a puzzle, you have to complete 75% of the puzzle, but if you complete the last 25% as well, then you have the option of getting the additional head coin. Now these of course get your hats, so you have like a sports cap, you have a top hat, there's a crown-like thingy, and in general there's a lot of goodies. However, the main gripe I have with this system is that there's no additional benefit to buying these things. So initially I went out of my way to get these things because I wanted to get the best stuff. So I got the ones that I really wanted. I wanted the top hat, I wanted the most expensive armor piece looking thingy, and the most expensive weapon skin, which is not really a weapon, but it's like a staff lantern thingy. Anyway, I bought those things, but then what? I was like, okay, I mean, collect these things, but I'm not really interested in getting the other items that were available. So what point is there into me going out of my way? There's also no added benefit to getting all of it, as far as I could tell. At the end of the game, you don't get any pop-up like, hey, you collected X out of X, or X out of Y amount of this, and X out of Y amount of this. So you get sort of like a collectathon feeling, like in some more old school collectathon games. So I feel like it's just a missed opportunity. Maybe they could have used this system to implement perks, like if you have this specific armor piece, then you get like one additional heart, or you move a specific amount quicker, or whatever. It could be a lot of things. I mean, of course you'd have to look into balance and stuff, but that's, you know, not really my task. But but I just feel like it's a very nice idea. However, the implementation of the system was just lacking, and I feel like it was really underperforming in comparison to what it could have been. Personally, I do find the game to be worth its 20 euros, but just barely. If you are someone who is really into puzzle platformer games, and if you don't mind a bit of action into the game, then yes, go ahead, buy this game. You get at least 5, probably even up to 7 to like 10 hours worth of fun, which in my opinion is a good amount for 20 euros. It shouldn't have been any longer, because otherwise the game would have probably become boring. Unfortunately, these kind of games they can't last too long, or they just get repetitive. But I do recommend picking it up if this is your kind of game. The one great thing about this game is that it is very supportive of pick up and play. So if you have about 10 minutes to spare, you can just open up your Switch, you can play one puzzle, because the world is divided into a lot of different rooms, and every single room has a specific puzzle inside of it. Some are interconnected, but that's beside the point. You can just go ahead and complete one room, which usually take anywhere between a minute and maybe 10 minutes, depending on the difficulty of the room. And then you can move on. So if you have a 10 or 15 or 20 minutes or whatever break at work, and you're like, wait, I kind of want to play a puzzle, you can do that. It's not like you're gonna have to stop in between puzzles too much, like inside of one puzzle. So it's a very nice pick up and play game. If for the 20 euros you're looking for a game that will blow you away, it's a game with new mechanics, new puzzles, new types of graphic style, new types of art, new types of sound, whatever, then this game unfortunately is not it. I do, however, recommend picking this game up on sale if you're the least bit interested, because while the game is good, it might not be worth 20 euros for everybody. Anyway guys, that's my review of Elli, or whatever the name of this game might be. I still have no idea. I'm at the end of the review and I'm still like, what's the name of this game? Nobody knows. Maybe someone can, direct me to a developer comment or something telling me what the pronunciation is, because I would really like to know. So please, let me know what this game is pronounced like. The name. English is leaving me. Thank you. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys again for the next video. Goodbye, guys.